Are you ready to be transformed? You're about to spend a life-changing hour with a woman who's done more than just talk about dramatic self-transformation. She achieved it, then literally wrote the book on it, leaving countless success stories in her wake. Will yours be next? Find out now and every week on The Kat James Show. And now your host, Kat James.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Kat James Show. I hope you're ready to be transformed. I urge everyone to transform all of this information that you know now into action right now. It is a time for action, and if you haven't taken action to pressure your legislators to getting out of the World Health Organization, then it's time to do it right now. Please do it this week, as it is becoming very clear what the intentions are and how it's being coordinated with the rest of the digital rollout of our lives that they have planned for us. So you don't want their digital currency. You don't want the digital passport. Otherwise, you're going to see something that if we thought there were mandates before on us, we've seen nothing yet. And so please take action. You know, there's good news that coordinates with much of the bad news, such as the fact that the powers that be have warned us about another pandemic. We know that if this World Health Organization treaty passes, that their ability to control us through this, whatever they have planned in terms of the next pandemic, would be unsurpassed. But today's show begins 2 weeks of really great health solutions that we haven't been hearing much about at all. And also magnolia bark, has arisen as another thing to fight against the long COVID and symptoms of the vaccine that so many people are dealing with. You have an answer to the digitization of our currency to private crypto, potentially a temporary thing to look into. Epic Cash and Monero, for example. You have a truly decentralized internet, possibly going to be usable, like Qortal, Qortal. And you have things like my program, this time July 28th through 2nd. And I got this incredible place I wanted. I call it the Hobbit Mansion. Learn more about that 5-day program at info@informedbeauty.com. Now, as mentioned, the focus on a new tool with regard to not only gut health, but immunity and things going on all around the body in a new way. And so is what I'm going to be focusing on for the rest of this hour with Mac Haines, with an interesting background. Sometimes, as you've heard with several guests on this show, some kind of a background, maybe with business or something other than health, can lead to a discovery of something and an interest that just can't be stopped in people's lives. And Mac Haines, for example, started out as an account executive for a medical food product, background in business, but he was working with gastroenterologists and MDs and talking about this really unusual ingredient and watching as the research mounted and this mechanism entirely different than some of the other complementary and extremely important aspects of digestive, immune, and gut health. Of course, I love Dr. Ohhira's probiotic, and the probiotic piece of it is complementary. It works by a completely different mechanism, but we have a new tool and a new mechanism to talk about it. And Mac Haines, welcome to the Kat James Show.
Kat, thank you so much for having me on today. And yes, like you said, something that is working differently. This IgG source that is in this product, Immunolin, truly is addressing the underlying cause and the reason between the inflammation in the gut. I know there kind of at the beginning you said this is something new, and it's kind of crazy. When I started working here, I thought this was a brand new ingredient, but as I got to learn a little bit more about the history behind Immunolin, this product and this ingredient has actually been in our food supply since the 1980s. It
wow.
was I know it's crazy, but it was originally administered and placed on pig and hog feed to lower the mortality rate and reduce the amount of inflammation leading to spontaneous abortion in those litters. As my team and we're an R&D focused team over here at Entera Health, but they look deeper and they're wondering what exactly in that spray dried plasma is leading to that reduction in inflammation in the gut. So as they started to conduct human clinical trials around 2001, specifically looking at IBSD, IBD, and HIV, they realized that this IgG source, and IgG is just an antibody concentrate. As everybody knows by now from the pandemic, our bodies do produce antibodies naturally. And this specific IgG source works locally in the GI tract to bind and neutralize and remove harmful pathogens before they can cause that inflammatory response. And them realizing that this IgG source could be beneficial for the human side led into a lot more clinical trials and led us to launch this prescription medical food called Entera that is just 5 grams of SBI. And that was launched back in 2013. It's been in the market since then, and it's utilized by a lot of gastroenterologists, a lot of different MDs to help manage symptoms with IBSD, our Crohn's and ulcerative colitis patients, as well as SIBO and celiac issues.
Wow. Hold on right there, Mac. It's a lot. And so I want you to unwrap some of those acronyms for me. And IgG, let's talk about that. And go into that. And as soon as you talk about how they were using this in livestock decades ago, it brings me back. I had an interview with Dr. Joel Wallach with his veterinary background. And it is amazing to me how, my gosh, people will stop at nothing and even experimentally use natural products just because they work, in animals. And it just seems to take so much longer for us to hear about them, if ever, as far as using them for humans. I just wanted to share that. But when you say IgG, tell us what that is, and then I'll have you tell us about immunolin, and is it the same thing as SBI, and what does SBI stand for? And then maybe if you can just simplify it for us.
Absolutely. So IgG is going to be the most polyclonal and most abundant antibody that our body produces. And it's mostly located with GI issues and is most abundant in the GI tract, just meaning it's going to bind onto more common antigens that get into our gut and remove them from the system. And
what does that IgG stand for?
It's just a substrate of an immunoglobulin.
Very good. And I was fascinated that the way that it binds to it is by, let me know if I'm wrong on this, making these clusters too big, because our big worry is passing things through the gut. When we talk about leaky gut, we talk about the breakdown of the tight junctions of the gut and how these wrong particles, maybe I'm lipopolysaccharides, I know is one of the bad ones, how they go through and they make their way to different areas of the body where the body just attacks them, or the body is attacking itself, treating itself like an enemy. And we have people with these constellations of autoimmune disease as a result. Are these the type of particles that this immunolin substance grabs onto, makes big clusters so they can't pass out into the bloodstream? Is that about right?
That is exactly how it works. So it's only doing one thing. It's binding onto a harmful pathogen that then would lead to inflammation. So it's not like it's completely helping the coating of the wall, but it's giving the gut barrier a chance to turn over new tissue, since it's not under constant spreading of different antigens slipping through our gut wall into the blood barrier and setting for a response.
And so we've done shows on colostrum before. I think it's interesting that many experts, researchers are looking at this compound, this immunolin, or SBI, and we'll unwrap that in the next segment, looking at it as a potential alternative to colostrum. And I'd love to discuss your thoughts on that and what those differences might be when we come back. Stick around, everyone.
Do your current probiotics offer diversity? The primary goal of your probiotics is to help create and maintain a healthy gut microbiome. We often think more is better, but taking high doses of 50 or 100 billion probiotics can work against you. The most important factor is diversity, not quantity. Look for a formula that has multiple strains of probiotic flora expertly fermented to contain postbiotic metabolites, which have been shown to help digestive and immune health, our gut-brain function, and more. The worldwide leader in fermented postbiotic health? Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics, the #1 probiotics in the world for direct delivery of postbiotics. Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics uses a multi-year fermentation with 12 proven probiotic strains producing over 500 postbiotic metabolites. Certified vegetarian and free of gluten, allergens, and GMOs. So say no to quantity and yes to diversity. Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics are available online and at natural health retailers nationwide.
We wouldn't go a day without washing our hands, brushing our teeth, and washing our nose. Whoa, wait, we wash our nose? Yes, the #1 place where bacteria, viruses, and pollen enter your body is through the nose. So the average person breathes over 23,000 times a day. That's 23,000 opportunities for bacteria, viruses, and irritants to get into your nose and make you sick. For an extra layer of protection, wash your nose with Xlear. That is Xlear, Xlear. Xlear's drug-free nasal spray features xylitol, an ingredient proven to block adhesion of many nasty bacteria and viruses, and effectively clean. Not just rinse like a saline, but wash your nose. Xlear nasal spray quickly alleviates congestion, opens your airway, and ensures your body's natural defenses are strong. Read the research studies for yourself at Xlear.com. That's Xlear.com. Protect yourself from the pathogens and junk you breathe. Pick up a bottle for you and your family today.
New look, same trusted formulas. As part of Wakanaga of America's 50th anniversary, their flagship product, Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract, has a new look. The new packaging clearly communicates each formula's unique characteristics and benefits at a glance. The added QR code allows consumers to scan for more info. Aged Garlic Extract has been shown to support optimal cardiovascular health, including blood pressure and cholesterol, immune function, and more. It is organically grown, and AGE is the most researched garlic supplement on the market, with over 900 scientific papers from prestigious universities and research institutes around the world. There is also a new, vegan-friendly version of Kyolic's original cardiovascular formula. Visit Kyolic.com for more information about Kyolic's quality supplements to support your healthy lifestyle. That's KYOLIC.com. Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract supplements are available at natural health retailers nationwide and online.
Welcome back to the Cat James Show. We're diving into something that I'm learning has really been doing amazing things and around for decades that, again, you probably haven't heard of it. And it is just being introduced in a product by Daiwa Health. Daiwa is one of my sponsors, an amazing Japanese supplement company. And I've talked about how the Japanese really know what they're doing. I realized after a while that 3 of my very good sponsors at Kyolic and Daiwa Health and Dr. Ohhira's Probiotic, they are Japanese-based companies, and the Japanese have really used supplements much longer and more widely in their population than we have here in the States. And so working with these companies and Daiwa, as Mac Haines, our guest today, has been doing. Mac, I would love for you to talk about Daiwa and Japanese supplement makers, what you've observed, and then we'll get into this colostrum question that I talked about right before the break.
Yes, working with Daiwa has been an amazing opportunity to help share Immunolin to the world. I know that Daiwa really looks at clinically backed and efficacious and effective ingredients. This specific one, Immunolin, actually has over 45 human clinical trials behind it. Going to be more than a lot of different supplements in the market. So they do things right over there. They do everything textbook, and they look at the effective and efficacious ingredients.
Yeah. And so back to the colostrum thing, you know, this substance in the first mother's milk that has these antigens that are given to the child, and we're born with little holes in our gut, and then those antigens, hopefully they're good ones coming from the mother, are spread throughout the child's body. And so incredibly valuable, but not everybody is brought into this world with that benefit, with that advantage. Some were not breastfed, for example, and maybe they had a lot of illness throughout their life. I work with many people like this, and colostrum was viewed as a way to kind of reestablish some of that core immunity. What would make immunolin different than that? And you can bring in, and you use it interchangeably with SBI. I'd love for you to just kind of say what that acronym is, what that is.
Yep.
And obviously immunolin is the brand name and a component of, and I believe it's the first product of its kind, called Gastroimmune. And that's Daiwa Health Gastroimmune, Daiwa being DAIWA. So if you can comment on all of that.
Absolutely. So as we all know, colostrum is an amazing product that does have great benefits. The big benefit you're getting with colostrum is the IgG concentration in there. IgG, it helps with our natural immunity. It just binds onto that LPS, that candida, and helps remove them from the system. What you're getting with immunolin, our product, compared to colostrum, is we derive everything from the bovine plasma compared to the milk. And that allows us to get a higher concentration of IgG. So instead of having 15 to 20% IgG, we're actually over 55. And why that is important is because the IgG is what actually binds onto the antigens. And when you have a higher concentration, it means it will bind onto more inflammatory pathogens. So we're looking at mycotoxins, Candida albicans, H. pylori, many different common inflammatory pathogens. With a product like Gastroimmune by Daiwa Health, it's just going to bind onto more and help limit the opportunity for an inflammatory response in the gut.
And so as long as you're on these different types of pathogens, and I want to re-emphasize, this is a new tool for people who have been fighting Candida all their lives, and more people than ever, of course, in the wake of yet another 3-year span of record-breaking antibiotic use and all sorts of prescription drugs that interfere with and give rise to Candida and interfere with the microbiome balance. Again, of course, you are going to want to be the reason the probiotic, Dr. O'Hara, that I mentioned earlier, is a fermented extract. So it is important to, especially in the wake of using antibiotics, to have that going for you and feed the good guys, discourage the bad guys, and have the postbiotic activity, etc. But again, the distinctions here, you can circle back to the distinctions. But in addition to Candida, I think you have some research which we could start to dive into on Candida, on SIBO, IBS, and perhaps some other things. So I'll just let you take it in whichever direction you want to go.
Absolutely. And that comes from talking with our gastrologist. We know this IgG source binds onto a lot of different antigens, but just as recent, a gastrologist asked us, we're running into an issue with Candida specifically and causing issues. Do you guys know if this immunoglobulin would be able to bind and remove that? And it's great to have such an R&D focused company over here at Entera Health. All I had to do was walk across to our science lab, directly talk with our chief science officer and ask, was this a trial that we could conduct? And it's something that they were able to turn over in less than 2 months and showcase, yes, the IgG in this product does bind onto Candida albicans. So it's another area that we can focus on and help those patients that are high in that Candida load. So you mentioned SIBO. Again, I feel it's hotter than ever right now. If you have IBS-C, you also have SIBO. You're having a bloating issue. You have an overgrowth of small intestinal bacteria. And just with that alone, when you hear small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, what you have here is a product that goes directly to that overgrowth of bacteria. And what we're going to do is bind, neutralize, and remove them from the system. And that's exactly what we did with a trial down in St. Louis with Dr. Leonard Weinstock. And he was originally using 2 different types of therapies. It could be a traditional therapy, FODMAPs, probiotic, prebiotic. And then for his patients that were positive for SIBO, he was given a broad-spectrum antibiotic. We know antibiotics can be beneficial. They take out whatever that bad pathogen was, but they can also take out a lot of the good stuff as well that our probiotics are trying to feed in. So he knew that about 50% of his patients were refractory and did come back to having those symptoms they were having before. So we said, okay, we want to take that 50% that you're seeing refractory, and then we want to test them on SBI. I know I've said SBI and Immunolin a couple times. SBI is just the name. It's serum-derived bovine immunoglobulin protein isolate, and the trademark name for that is going to be Immunolin. So they're the exact same ingredient. Kind of help explain that better for one, Kat. But at the end, when we took that 50% and measured them and utilized SBI in their treatment therapy, we had 50% of that population, and upwards of 80% saw a positive response in reducing their symptoms completely. So at the end of the day, cut out the middleman, cut out the antibiotic. If it is a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, use something that's going to go over after the bad overgrowth, get it out of the system, and get the body back to a utopia.
Yeah. I wanted to draw a comparison. There are certain nasal infection, sinus infection remedies that just make it so that the bacteria doesn't stick. It doesn't do its job, or not. It doesn't have its bad effects, is what I meant to say. And it seems such a smarter approach than the search and destroy method of antibiotics. It's so short-sighted because not only does it leave the terrain barren, which is a big part of the problem, probably producing symptoms in the first place, but gives rise to resistant strains, introducing horrible resistant strains into the body. And this just seems like it's kind of like wise gardening. You add microbes and nematodes to the soil to fight the bad things, as opposed to this short-sighted obliteration, search and destroy, eradication. And this is an incredibly smart thing that's not going to give rise to any negative repercussions or rebound effects, because you're just making the bad stuff unable to wreak its havoc and to escape the digestive tract and go into the bloodstream, where the majority of these issues exist. And even though, and this is another thing to look at before I have you go through some more research, is, we're talking about these gut concentrated issues, the candida, the SIBO, the IBS, probably affects regularity, I would imagine. And that, that's the IBS factor as well. But there's also the untold, just innumerable things around the body that can be spared when these particles and pathogens do not escape the gut. And they are being prevented from escaping the gut by the clustering effects of Immunolin, not only affecting those digestive issues, but overall immunity. We know all of those things related to a healthy gut and how most of our immune cells are in the gut. But Mac, are there maybe anecdotal or even clinical studies on all of the things outside of the gut, or some of the things that are affected by this? Because I can think of countless autoimmune issues that it seems would be greatly affected: vasculitis, sclerotic things, arthritis. Do you have any more areas of research or things that are affected?
Absolutely. Like you were talking about, if we have an inflamed gut, that affects the rest of our body. Anything from our cognitive function to how healthy our skin is, our appearance. It all starts in the gut. So if we can utilize Immunolin to actually target what causes the inflammation and get it out of the system, we know it's going to heal the rest of the body. And that's led my R&D team to start looking into other areas as far as muscle protein synthesis for maybe a bodybuilder or an athlete. It's going to go into health and beauty, and has really led a lot of new research for us.
Yeah, fantastic. And I want to cover a good amount more of this research when we come back.
Staying healthy has never been more important. And Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract, maker of premier heart and immune health products, is leading the way to better health with a groundbreaking new formula, Kyolic Omega AGE. Kyolic Omega AGE combines the cardiovascular power of Kyolic's best-selling, organically grown aged garlic extract with sustainably sourced fish oil and a synergistic blend of the nutrients, vitamins D3, K2, E, and B6, 9, and 12, that have been clinically shown to support heart, bone, and immune health, all in one supplement, providing you with a comprehensive and convenient way to take your health to the next level. So check off all of those individual supplements from your shopping list and get Kyolic Omega AGE for heart, bone, and immune health today. Look for Kyolic Omega AGE at fine natural health retailers near you. Learn more at kyolic.com. That's KYOLIC.com. Stay healthy, live better.
It's not always easy for women to achieve better health, especially these days. The key is to work smarter, not harder. Be wise about weight loss and workouts, eat strategically, and take your supplements. I'm best-selling nutrition author Kat James. I've learned firsthand that probiotics are key to women's health. They protect your digestion, your immune system, your skin. They support balanced hormonal levels. And very important for both women and men, they counter the buildup of bad bacteria and yeast in our bodies. Researchers have even found that probiotics promote a more positive mood and mental sharpness due to the gut-brain axis. The one I take, Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics. It's a superior formula with prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics, a smart advantage in these challenging times. Find Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics through Vitamin Shop, Whole Foods, Sprouts, and other natural health retailers, also available online.
Mom, can I have some spray?
Sure, honey.
Thanks, Mom.
You know what that is? That's the sound of my child thanking me for giving her something that's actually good for her teeth. Spry Gum is part of the Spry Dental Defense System, a complete line of oral care products made with 100% xylitol, the all-natural sweetener with proven dental benefits. So when we're at home, my whole family uses Spry toothpaste and mouthwash to help strengthen our teeth and reduce the risk of tooth decay. And when we're on the go, I just throw some Spry Gum and mints right into my bag. My kids love it, and I love that it's all natural. No sugar, no aspartame, or any other chemicals. Just think of that. I reward my kids for taking care of their teeth at home by giving them gum and mints on the go that are good for their teeth. Visit sprydental.com or ask for Spry by name at your local health food store. You can also ask your dentist about Spry and make sure your mouth is receiving all the benefits of 100% xylitol products.
At Vitamin Shop, Sprouts, Kroger, and most natural product retailers. Find a retailer near you at clear.com.
Introducing the featured re-release of Kat James' grassroots best-selling book, The Truth About Beauty. Transform your looks and your life from the inside out. Based on breaking science and Kat James' own incredible transformation, The Truth About Beauty represents the most comprehensively researched and inspiring beauty guide to date. Winner of the 2009 Silver Nautilus Book Award, it's been called a masterpiece by New York Magazine's two-time Nutritionist of the Year, Oz Garcia, and a path to personal triumph by Glamour Magazine. This classic now features 40% new material, including her long-awaited Jumpstart recipe collection from her acclaimed Total Transformation programs, plus her living formula for biochemical freedom from food obsession, state-of-the-art natural skin, supplement, and anti-aging strategies, and a resource guide called Worth Its Weight in Gold by Marie Claire Magazine. If you're ready to get off the merry-go-round and get serious, get the truth about beauty and transform yourself today. Visit informedbeauty.com.
Welcome back to the Kat James Show. And I wanted to dive into, and there were so many studies on this immunolin ingredient. But before I do, I think people might want to know where they can get this. And I'm very excited to say that only recently has it been made available. And again, it's called Daiwa Gastroimmune, DAIWA Gastroimmune. And it's one word, but the I is capitalized in gastroimmune, powered by immunolin, which is this incredible ingredient, this concentrate, antibody concentrate. And we'll talk about safety studies in a moment as well, because I was happy to find how many of those have been done. But again, you can go online to either Amazon or even better yet, the Daiwa website, which is www.dhdUSA.net, dhdUSA.net, which is Daiwa Health Development website. And so how would you take this, by the way, Mac, before we get back into the studies? And is it safe? So let's start there. Is it safe? Let's begin with that and then go into how a person would bring this supplement into their routine.
Absolutely. So you asked, is it safe? And absolutely, it's safe. So you got to think of three different categories here. Start with supplements, medical foods, and drugs. So when it comes to testing these different products, obviously supplements, they have some great data behind them. They can go straight out in the market. We initially launched Immunolin as a medical food. And medical foods there is 4 phases when it comes to doing trials on drugs. And with medical foods, you just have to get past the first 2 phases. But those first 2 phases directly are with safety and efficacy and making sure there is no major adverse events when taking this product. There is no contraindication with any other medication when you're taking this product. What Daiwa's done great is they've made it available in capsule form. So it's something that you can take on the fly. It's something you could take to the airport with you. You can take on a long hike, take on a long run. It's something that you can take at any part of the day and take it with any other type of supplement. So if you were to take it with a prebiotic, a probiotic, while those are feeding all the good, we're going to pull out all the bad and kind of be the tag team champions of the microbiome. And
empty stomach or with food, would you take it?
Yep. Just for compliance, I always say take it in the morning. Any time of the day is going to be okay. It's not about absorption with this product. It's just when we come in contact with the most antigens. So if you really think about it, we are humans. We eat with our hands, and that's when we're going to come in contact with the most antigens. So if you wanted to take it right after lunch or right after dinner, you're going to see the most optimal effects when utilizing this product.
And it's technically a food concentrate. So does that mean you could have it on an empty stomach?
Absolutely. You can take it on an empty stomach.
Okay. Terrific. And so moving on to some of this research, tell me more. And I know that we've talked about leaky gut on this show. And again, it's a different mechanism here. There are ways that the fermented extract I referred to earlier is fantastic for that. But this other mechanism, how would the Daiwa Gastroimmune product affect the gut in the research?
Absolutely. And when you look at Immunolin, we initially launched it at 5 grams, and that was for IBS-D, Crohn's ulcerative colitis, patients that have been living with low-grade inflammation for years and just running into all these different issues from diarrhea to bloating, flatulence. But could this help a healthy individual who's just wanting to help maintain their gut barrier or maybe ran across something while they were traveling? And absolutely. And that's why we conducted a clinical trial looking at metabolic endotoxemia, or as we all know, leaky gut. And if this could benefit maybe Mima, who ran across something while she was in Cancun and came back and was sick. So a little breakdown on how the clinical trial started. We went to the most healthy age population we could think of. In this case was college students at the University of North Texas. We then would ask them if we could feed them a high-fat meal. The high-fat meal in this case was 2 slices of a Tombstone pizza. And, of course, that pizza was going to spike their LPS levels in their blood and then lead to issues like bloating, maybe some dietary issues.
I call that a high-carb meal, by the way. Go ahead.
It absolutely is a high-carb meal as well. But the reason we looked at LPS directly in that antigen is LPS makes up about 60% of the antigens in our body. And if we could reduce 60% of the problem, that's an amazing issue to attend to. So we would measure their blood after the high-fat meal 3 hours after and 5 hours after. The first day, of course, you could tell from the time they took the pizza till 5 hours later, their LPS levels in their blood grew extremely, showcasing that LPS is slipping through that gut barrier wall and causing inflammation. So with 45 consecutive days of taking this product at 1 gram a day, we fed them that high-fat meal on day 45, and then we measured their blood levels from hour 3 to hour 5. And when you compare the two graphs, you can barely tell there was even a spike in their LPS levels.
Wow.
So
all those pizza eaters, they are all going to look at that as a rationale. Okay, I get the Daiwa Gastroimmune, and I can eat my pizza without inflammation. No. That's not what we're saying. Of course, there's going to be detrimental effects to that. Just wanted to interject that.
I know what you're saying there, Kat, and I'm not saying go out there and eat a huge meal every time you eat and this product will work. We're just showcasing that continually maintaining the GI tract and keeping it from a reduction of an inflammatory response helps us live a healthier, happier life. You're going to run into less symptoms, less bloating, and less diarrhea.
Yeah. And so that is a study in healthy people. I was very interested in the Chron's research or IBS. And I want to mention that in my work, and my audience is familiar with my decades of work helping people regain sensitivity to the hormone leptin, and a major change in diet there. And there's huge impact on all of these issues. But so many of you out there are not doing my program, would not do, maybe have the opportunity to do it. And as that study that Mac just mentioned demonstrated, that it is mitigating major harm here. And so looking at the research, Mac, do you want to highlight any of the research in some of these other major issues that people are dealing with?
Absolutely. You mentioned Crohn's. Obviously, with IBD, Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, that is a major issue that can be a lot farther down in the GI tract, where maybe a lot of supplements just get absorbed or demolished in our stomach acid. What's amazing about SBI and Immunolin is this product actually survives the entire GI tract, and it works throughout the entire GI tract. We did a digestibility where we wanted to showcase that, okay, this wasn't going to spike our IgG levels. It's non-systemic, and it just works in the GI tract. But what we showcased from this was when we looked at the patient's stools after taking this product, we actually found bound antigens that can only be found in the colon in that patient's stool, showcasing, wow, this is SEAL-Team-6 truly going through the GI tract, binding onto every antigen in the stomach, in the small intestine, the large, all the way down to the colon, and removing those pathogens from causing a negative response. And it was a big aha moment for us to launch a lot of amazing trials looking at Crohn's and ulcerative colitis.
Incredible. And so I'll let you maybe discuss any other research or even clinical observations, success stories that you want to highlight.
Yeah, absolutely. One that really has helped a lot of gastroenterologists is patients that get C. difficile infections. C. diff is definitely, it's one of that the doctor can diagnose from a couple doors down. It has a horrible odor to it. The patients are having the worst day of their life, and they're just getting put on different therapies that are sure going to help them initially at the problem, but eventually their symptoms come back and the infection just keeps spreading. What's amazing about this immunoglobulin source is we actually tested it against C. diff toxins A and B, and the IgG in Immunolin does bind on to toxins A and B, and led us to launch an amazing clinical trial with Dr. Carl Crawford, showcasing that we are helping these C. difficile infection patients get back and get out of the hospital as soon as possible by continually removing those toxins, especially C. diff toxins A and B, before they can occur.
Really incredible. So it's would those C. diff A and B escape the digestive tract, or are you do they just bind there and stay there? And it's still this binding action that just brings it out through digestion, through peristalsis. Is that the situation?
So IgG is going to want to escape the body eventually. It can't be absorbed, but that bound antigen now cannot cross our gut barrier. So it has to be removed from the system.
And so this product does that. We're going to touch on that right when we come back. Stick around, everyone.
What's your age? That's AGE, aged garlic extract, that is. For over 50 years, Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract has been offering men and women of all ages and with different health concerns an odorless, organically grown, clinically researched garlic extract supplement tailored to their individual needs. Aged garlic extract formulas support optimal cardiovascular health, immune function, and many more specific health concerns like stress, blood sugar balance, high blood pressure, detox, anti-aging, inflammation, and brain health. Kyolic AGE's condition-specific products contain Kyolic's exclusive GMO-free garlic extract, which is aged up to 20 months, converting garlic's harsh properties into beneficial compounds. So what's your AGE? Visit your local natural health and wellness retailer and discuss which Kyolic AGE formula is best for you and your lifestyle. Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract formulas are available at fine natural health retailers nationwide, also online.
For more than a decade, a prescription-only breakthrough medical food, now called Immunolin, has been used in humans and animals to address inflammatory and immune conditions. Now it's available in a remarkable new supplement called Daiwa Gastroimmune. Emerging as a more powerful alternative to colostrum and a complement to probiotics, this bovine plasma-derived compound binds to, then removes the bad guy antigens that might otherwise escape the gut and wreak havoc throughout the body, reducing common and serious gastric issues, but also many body-wide itises and syndromes in the research. The peptides in Immunolin, now featured in Daiwa Gastroimmune, were shown to make over 46 antigens too large to escape the gut, improving inflammatory skin and tissue function, as well as IBS, Crohn's, Candida, celiac, C. diff, ulcerative colitis. Even SIBO symptoms decreased 80% and all-cause hospital stays shortened across the board. Get Daiwa Gastroimmune, that's one word, Gastroimmune, at Amazon and seal the fate of your bad guy antigens today. That's Daiwa, D-A-I-W-A, Gastroimmune.
Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics. We put the power in probiotics. We were the first to emphasize the importance of postbiotic metabolites in creating and maintaining the biodiversity of flora in the gut microbiome for optimal digestion, gut-brain, immune, and hormonal health. Multi-year fermentation is key in producing the postbiotic metabolites that are found in exceptional probiotics like Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics. Healthy fruits and vegetables are fermented, resulting in over 500 postbiotic metabolites for optimum digestive and immune support. So don't rely on a simple claim that the product has 50 billion or more CFUs. That is not the hallmark of how to gauge a powerful probiotic. Instead, look for diversity. Look for fermentation. Look for postbiotics. Look for Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics. Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics are certified vegetarian and free of gluten, allergens, and GMOs. Get Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics today at fine health retailers everywhere and online.
Welcome back to the Cat James Show. This is a really interesting conversation I'm having with Mac Haines, who is an expert on IgG and Immunolin, which is the name for really a antibody concentrate that's been used in livestock for decades. And gosh, I wish it had not taken so long to come to the market. But I'm thankful to you, Mac, and Daiwa Health, and for their development of Daiwa Gastroimmune. One word, by the way, everyone. If you search that on Amazon or at Daiwa's website and put it as two words, gastro separate from immune, you won't get this incredible Immunolin product. So one word, Gastroimmune, and Daiwa, D-A-I-W-A. But so exciting that it is literally, I've been waiting for this product to come out because I've known about it for several months now. And you can, again, go to Amazon and find Daiwa Gastroimmune. But Mac, thank you for all the work that you've done on this. And you have some more research. And I am thrilled that we've already covered really stubborn issues that people can have. C. diff, SIBO, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, certainly Candida can be very stubborn. in people. This is a different way, a complementary way to probiotics. And obviously, you're going to want to get the best when it comes to that fermented extract that I love. And so it's a different mechanism. So share any other key research that you want to share. I know there was an economic study even that should pique some people's interest regarding hospital stays, and a story of a woman who's been taking this since 2013.
Yes, Kat, I'd love to speak more on that pharmacoeconomic study I mentioned. You know what else is very stubborn outside of having those symptoms? Paying that large bill from how long you've been in the hospital. It is obviously detrimental on your bank account, and it makes it even harder for people to recover from not just their symptoms, but their quality of life and how they're living. That's exactly what we did, a pharmacoeconomic study with a couple different doctors. And in those studies, it's just showcasing when we start to remove the cause of the inflammation that is causing these symptoms quicker by taking this product, patients are spending less days in the hospital, spending less days paying that back. So it's great as therapy to anything you're currently using for a protocol. It's less days in the hospital and it's more money in their pocket at the end of the day. And that's what we all want. And it's just something that's been utilizing this product.
And so that's amazing that you have a study on that, the reduced expense. I can only imagine that in the years to come, that adding on to the existing research on immunolin and gastroimmune, that you're going to see these many, countless other substances that are pathogens that would be attacked and neutralized and taken out of the body, put into these clusters so that they can't penetrate the body by IgG, which is this immunolin ingredient. And so tell me about this woman who's been taking it since 2013.
Absolutely. She has been calling us probably, I would say, every 4 months. She's a big believer in the product, and she started taking it when we initially launched it back in 2013. So she was someone who, no joke, was going to the bathroom 8, 9, 10 times a day and missed out on a lot of her child's different sporting events, their dance, their ballet recitals, because she didn't know where the nearest bathroom was going to be at events, just absolutely destroying her quality of life. And as we got her on this product and her continually taking it over time, it didn't have that effect to her anymore, where she had to try to understand where the nearest bathroom was. She got back to feeling better, to obviously having maybe a stool 1 or 2 times a day. And she calls us thanking us every day. Like, I think it was 2 months ago, she said, "Hey, Mac, just calling back in, still taking my product every single day, but I got to go see my granddaughter's dance recital." And just hearing those success stories and just knowing that we're helping these people out in the long run, and this is an antibody source that's truly helping their inflammation in the gut, it just makes everybody feel better. It makes us feel great about what we do over here.
Fantastic. And again, that inflammation, just the mechanism is preventing inflammation around the body, as you mentioned. And the research is focused on these digestive effects right now. But we know what happens when these things are prevented from escaping the digestive tract and entering the bloodstream. We know they go to all sorts of parts of the body. And so I think it's a very exciting area of research. Do you want to finish with any other research that stuck out to you that my listeners could relate to?
Absolutely. And I'm sure some of these listeners have friends or also have the issue of being gluten sensitive or maybe having celiac, having that issue.
Yeah.
Like I've said a couple of times, this IgG source binds onto over 46 antigens. One of those is gliadin. We know when we do take in gluten and it's broken down, that antigen gliadin is a major, major player in causing that inflammation and that harsh response for our gluten-sensitive patients. So this is another targeted therapy that's going to bind onto that specific antigen, neutralize it, and remove it before it can cross that gut barrier wall and cause that inflammatory response.
Wow. Fantastic. I mean, that's a humongous, again, quality of life thing to have the mitigation of the cause of those symptoms of celiac disease. It is amazing all of the different ways that can manifest in people. Fantastic. Any other studies you want to share in the last few minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of the day, wow, we've heard of different clinical trials on IBS, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, celiac, non-celiac, lots of different digestive issues. But who should be taking Daiwa Health Gastroimmune? Anyone who wants to maintain their gut barrier function. This product is going to directly navigate through your GI tract, target, bind, increase the overall size of that antigen so it can't cross our gut barrier and cause that inflammation, and then start the removal process of getting it out of the system. So this truly is the SEAL Team 6 for your microbiome when it comes to the bad guys, removing them and just not giving the body a chance to cause inflammation. Let that gut barrier heal over time. Our bodies want to work for us, but when we're on a hamster wheel of inflammation and we're constantly letting more and more antigens slip through our gut barrier wall, we just can't heal. This is your opportunity to heal the gut barrier, remove those antigens over time, and get us back to absorbing more water, protein, and nutrients we need to live in a healthier, happier life.
Exactly. It's like the difference between surviving and thriving, because so much of that healing energy is used just on constantly the body trying to get itself out of the woods in terms of what is happening in the gut. So I would, again, encourage people to visit the Daiwa Health website, dhdUSA.net. If you missed any of this show, want to hear this again, you can go to, in fact, you can email us directly, info@informedbeauty.com to get a copy of this show. And I think that your point of, and the research showing what this did for healthy college kids, just after, in comparison to their response of eating a not so healthy meal, is astounding. And so this really should not be thought of as a digestive supplement or necessarily an immune supplement, but an anti-inflammatory as well, at least as far as what we eat affects inflammation. And we know that it's central. So this is an incredible tool.
Oh, and if you would like to learn a little bit more and actually read these clinical trials and look into this data, please reach out to Daiwa Health. They're going to have every single clinical trial we've ever conducted, and you will see the true benefits of supplementing IgG into your digestive, your immune, and overall lowering of inflammation.
Fantastic. Again, dhdUSA.net. Mac Haines, thank you so much for your expertise and sharing your time and knowledge with us today. And everybody else, join me next week for another transforming show.
Thanks, Kat.
You've been listening to The Kat James Show. Want Kat to help with your transformation challenge? Submit your question at thekatjamesshow.com. She'll try to cover it in an upcoming show or newsletter. To learn about Kat James' total transformation programs or her award-winning book, visit thekatjamesshow.com. Catch The Kat James Show on Sirius at XM 131 Family Talk each Saturday at noon Pacific or 3 p.m. Eastern.